So what I was saying, now you see me. I will talk with my hands and my voice. Okay, everyone? So to describe quick, I come again. Here behind this screen, I have all the stems um, played by Ableton. Okay, this what is controlled in Ableton via MIDI are controlled by those controller ahead of me. Okay, so a little word about this. Um, since a long time, I saw that, for example, come again, when we want to cut a bass in the analog world, it will generally click because we will ask to that desk to come from a big volume to no volume at all, okay? So you will have this kind of click sometime, most of the time when you cut in the middle of a big note. But when we do this in MIDI, as there's no signal going through the MIDI controller, okay? MIDI controller just sends some numbers from 0 to 127, and it will control what we ask it to control into the computer. So this is the reason why we got some MIDI controller, and for other facilities too. So what I was saying a bit earlier, every of the track are separated from the right, the kick, the cymbals, the snare, the percussion. Where is my percussion? Okay, here we come. Here we got the skunk. Okay, and the melodies here. 3 other tracks for melodies. Some of my tracks require 3 melodies. Okay, and then we go on the next desk, the center desk, the master output desk. We got 4 subgroups, okay? So as I was saying earlier, but you didn't see, I can explain on that desk. We have several tracks here. Let's say we choose one of them, and from that track, we can switch it on to the master bus, what is going in the room, or to another bus called 3 and 4, which is going to a phaser here, or 1 and 2 going to a filter. So here I got the same philosophy, meaning, for example, for the drum, my main bus is here. This is a track set as a monitor into Ableton. And when I push every faders from the drums, they all output here, making it more easy to make disappear all of the drums. And also very great because you could set different balance here, and in one fader you have that exact balance, which will be more tedious if you have each time you want to make a cut to bring back each of those fader as an exact position. Okay. So to talk a bit more on the subgroup and things like that, a bit earlier I prepared a Ableton page, and I will just describe you a minute what is happening in this Ableton page. So, okay. Okay, now you must see Ableton. Let me check the video to see if it goes well. Yes, it's up in clear. So, quickly, this is partially emulate the environment of the studio and the desk, and what is happening on those controllers in front of me. So here, in yellow, I set a pack of tracks, and I call them DAW stems. So this is what is coming from the DAW. Okay, and you have melody, pads, etc. And all of those tracks, I can choose to send them to one of my buses. Okay, and here you have the 4 buses, like the 4 faders in the middle room. Okay, so you have the bass, the drums, the chords and melody, and the lead. Okay, so from that, you will choose your bass and send it at the output to, for example, the bass group, kick, and all the drums you will send to the drum groups. Okay, and etc. The chords to the chords group, and so on. Okay, from that you will have the grouped track and the control of each group here, and this is what you will assign on your controller. Okay, if you have a lot of tracks on your controller or 2 controllers, you can assign much more controls, sure. Okay, and last example, after that I will close Ableton. I set 4 auxiliary sends, okay? A and B are for effects 1 and 2, an echo and a reverb. And C and D, I call them bus 1 and bus 2, okay? This is to emulate my analog desk. And when I want to send a signal in a bus, imagine you have a filter or whatever in here. I will set a switch to automate the send of that bus. Okay. Here I have just a key from my keyboard. That way, instantly, it sends at 0 dB to that buses. You send those buses wherever you want. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Yes, what I did also on this one is to send back each effects on an audio track. And this track is set as monitor track, okay, and from there, on each of those tracks, for example, let me check. I don't have it now. Okay, it's not a problem. It's just to emulate the fact that when we use an effect send, like a reverb or an echo, or a bus send to an effect, generally, in the real world, we will send back the output of this effect to a track of the desk. Because on that track, we will have at least 1 gain knob and an equalizer, you know. Donc, so yes. You will do those kind of things. In Ableton, for example, you can just drop the effect or the EQ just after it here. But yeah, it's always good to have the capability of an audio track after each effect. Okay. Okay, stop with Ableton. Let's go back into the Word. Yes, so what I was explaining into Ableton, I will show you it now on the controller. So the first bus with Gasser, all the music here. Okay. We'll come back on this later. Then, what I was saying, to continue on the routing. Now, to process all this, I have 3 effect sends that goes to effect in the DAW, in Ableton. So I got a reverb, an echo and a second echo. Okay? On the middle desk, I have the 4 buses of the music, and then the 4 next track are the effect return. Okay? The same as what I was explaining just earlier. All the track full left of the screen, like I send back on some tracks the return of my effect. That way I have control on the volume and a few parameters I can set here. In this case, I have an echo here. Okay. And the second echo here. Okay, and after it I have a reverb and a filter. To finish on the MIDI controller, the third desk in our case here, for the actual setup, these are some controls from the effect that are linked to each of those effect sends. Okay, so for example, here, yes, on the 2 first track, I have the controls for the reverb, which is controlled in the DAW. Okay, so 2 several reverbs. I can switch on pre-delay. I can freeze the reverb. I have the pan for each of the reverb and pre-delay, decay, and an equalizer here. Okay. So this is an example for the reverb. So let's say, for example, for you to get the picture, this is an effect with an input and an output, and you have a few control on the front panel. So this portion of the controller acts as the front panel control of the reverb effect. And by the way, even the 2 other tracks are a gate on the reverb chain and also a delay, post-reverb on it. Okay, and also a comp. No, this is a big verb. This is a very big verb. In fact, you can find this reverb I use, the circuit, on Shieldrum Records Patreon, because this is my reverb shaper that is assigned as a controller here on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 columns. So I have control over every modules of the reverb shaper. I remove the filter from mine because I have an independent filter, but as I was saying, this control the 2 reverbs, the way I will tune them, EQ and the decay and pre-delay. And then this concerns the gate. One track concerns the gate with the threshold of the gate. I can flip this gate, attack or release. Then I have the trails option, meaning this is a delay post-verb. And I can choose the time. I choose the dry wet with the fader here and the feedback above. And the last control for this big verb here is a compressor, post-verb. If we want to attenuate the moment we go straight into the reverb. So pretty much of this controller control a reverb, okay? And I will come back on this in 5 minutes, because this reverb is in fact kind of, it's not a kind, this is, if you see this. Okay. So this is a spring verb, okay, spring verb with this amp. Amp is here. And the signal of this is one tutorial into another. So when I send, for example, my snare to the reverb here, okay, I can switch off the reverb, switch on, pre-delay, etc., etc. So what is happening here? When I send a snare into the reverb in Ableton, it goes through a send pass, so a send return, and the output of this send go out of my sound card. Okay, so going out of my sound card, which is here, and it goes into the spring verb. Then the signal goes into the spring, comes out, go into the preamp, and it goes back into Ableton. Okay, and in Ableton, I will not show it here, but the concept is this signal that come into my input 7. This signal is going directly into an external effect rack. Okay, and I have processed the output of the spring verb, meaning instead of having in the studio one gate to gate the reverb, one compressor, and one delay only for one verb, everything is set up into Ableton via my verb shaper rack. Okay, and you can get this rack into the Patreon feed, so you can subscribe to Patreon or go have a look, and you'll see this, and you can find also a tutorial I made during this year explaining a bit this plugin. But yeah, it was to tell you that under the hood of those controller is all the reverb shaper. Then after it, I have another reverb which I use just for some lightning noise. The first reverb I was talking about, those springs are under this desk. And I show you the second one just to show you that it goes inside. And in this reverb, there's just my siren that goes in it and this sound, because I can rule all the rest with the first one. Talking about reverb. Then I control so the volume of this reverb with this, and the EQ and things like that. And here I control the delays, the speed of the delays, and several parameters assigned to several controls of the delays in Ableton. And the delay I use here in the mix is called echo in Ableton. So I think that's pretty everything. So there's some effect that goes out of the sound card and go back into the sound card and get processed by Ableton. Here, let's talk about the echoes, or I configure the echo. So to have this example, we will set only the skunk. I will not open Ableton to explain, so just follow me word. What I did, I will take my fake effect to explain it again. So imagine this is an echo. I will send at the input and get the signal from the output from this echo, okay? And to have the control on it, there's a technique. They finally call it like the dub echo or dub delay technique. And this technique consists on setting a single tap to your delay and to re-inject this delay into itself, okay? So I will show you here on the big desk and then here. What I will show here is exactly the same happening under those faders. So let's send the skunk. So I have the skunk output on this track here. And when I send it to the echo, it will go back on this track. Okay? Here you got only the sound of the echo. And you see, I have only one repeat. if I cut my piano, everything stops. So I have just one repetition. Okay. So from there, to send the piano into the delay, I must turn this aux 4, number 4. This aux number 4 go into the delay, come back here. Okay, the output of the delay. There's only one tap, and then I go to my aux 4, so the same aux, and I will send back the delay onto itself. And this is how the first tap will be repeated. Okay, so with a lot of auxiliary, I attune it again, it gives me this. So I can play with the tail of the echo under a single phaser, okay, further. And what I can do also is to EQ this, for example, for the echo to go into the high frequencies, or EQ this to make it go in the low frequency. Because each time there is a tap, this tap is re-injected into itself. So depending on how much of the echo you will inject into itself, it will have a few taps or infinite taps. Okay, and generally you will set your volume balance between your sound and your echo the way that when you are at the good level for your echo in the mix, you must be very close to the auto oscillation, aka non-stop. Okay? Non-stop delay. That way, during a mix, you can have it this place. And whenever you want it, you will cut the piano and bring up your fader. Okay, so I think that's a good explanation there. So, into Ableton, I did exactly the same. So when I send, for example, this piano into the delay, I control the volume of my delay here. Okay, let's come back with this piano. Okay, I set the level, and here I have my EQ. If I want to go in the high frequencies, or I would do something like that, to go into darker frequencies. Okay, so the routing had been explained on this channel on several tutorials, but this is it. You must send it and just put one tap in your delay and re-inject it. Surely on the second part of this tutorial about what is dub mixing, this second part will be a kind of emulation of this environment into Ableton. That way you have the two-side vision. Give me a minute. So this was a little example to show you that it works exactly the same, okay? Concerning the control of the echoes. So this is quite important into dub mixing to have the control, because the echo, if we could define it as, excuse me, as if we were talking about modern technique, we can do some rising of the energy with the echo or falling of the energy with the echo, depending if we give it more high frequency or more speed or less speed. Brief, there's several things. So this is a good way to play this echo. So with the parameter of your echo box, you know, this is the same story. If you have an external pedal, you have the control of the speed, etc., of the echo, speed feedback. And if you are running some plugin, you will choose the same parameter. So tips in the tips, sometimes you know that, in fact, several gears like this echo or the other, or are just most of the time different by their design. So sometimes you can just study one existing machine and you go into Ableton and you can, with patience, clone it. I mean, for example, if I talk quick about this one, this is a good digital delay. It can do several things, but I use it for 100 digital. So if I have to clone this into Ableton, I would take a delay with the same specification. Use, for example, time, feedback, mix, density, rate, and mode, and I would assign this specific control on the delay. Because most of the time, for every effect in the DAW, they are far more complicated than this. Not complicated, but you can fine-tune a lot of things. And what are doing this kind of pedal or effect, they are simplifying the work, okay? That's why some guitarists prefer this kind of delay, some others prefer this other kind. But this is just that there's a computer inside of it and that make the delay loop, and it will be processed with distortion or filter or modulation or whatever. Brief, everything can be cloned very, very closely. Yes, and for the last control here, this is my filter. So to send into the filter, I have to switch on the switch, simply. I can send the 4 groups into the filter, and the effect returns also into the filter. Still in Reverb Shaper from Shieldrum Record, you got also the same kind of filter inside the Reverb Shaper effect, okay? So I will demonstrate it. This filter is Ableton rack I built, and it emulates the step filter, you know, those old filter, passive filter like King Tubby's and old sound like this, and it will switch from one frequency step to another straight instead of being progressive. Okay? So by the way, I have to give credit to the man called Scientist on this explanation, because the routing I will explain you, this is a routing he explained me, because the filter can be used in series or in parallel. In series, for example, if you send everything in it, if you go through the filter, it will cut all the frequency. For example, let's play the bass. As a control here, I have a low cut for the bass. Okay, at this control. So in this case, the filter is in series with my bass track, okay? Because we don't hear the original signal, we just hear the result post-filter. But I have also a bypass switch here, which can keep my filter at this place here, but give me back the sub bass. So I'm talking about this example because this is a good way to shape and find some frequencies. But if you have only the filter and not the original signal, you can't get back your sub. So with this switch, this will be the case, okay? So I can fine-tune some harmonics here in my bass, and still I got my subs. And by the way, this is a normal filter, not stepped, meaning when I cut, it cuts smoothly. Let me remove this bypass. Okay, for the step filter in this setup, it is different. It is only in parallel. I mean, I'm obliged to send something in it, and I will have the sound of the filter plus the dry signal. So I will make a demonstration. That way you will hear what it is about. Because I guess no matter you work in analog words or digital world, or the two, like here, this is a pretty important tool because this was the first like special and spatial effect invented or used. The use of it in this way was invented by King Tubby's and all his followers. Okay, and this gives a particular sound, and also it's good to learn what is an old machine with fixed frequencies and why they choose those precise fixed frequencies to build those filters. So let's go for the Shieldrum Records step filter. So I will send it on different basses, but I will drop the mic. Just for example, here, I switch it on the drums. And then I will add effects, and you will hear the filter into the effects. So for the control, here I control the frequency of the step filter. Here I will control in which region of the frequency spectrum this step filter will operate. Here I've got the resonancy of those steps and the gain output of the filter. So let's go. Okay, that's it quickly. You can see more use of this in several mixing work and tutorial I posted here. So I think that's all for the controller. Here, some more controller with two other effects, a flanger effect and phasing effect also coming from the computer on a separated routing, but in the same way of what I explained earlier. Okay, of course, I will explain a bit later all those blocks from where they are controlled. And I think that's all for the MIDI. Yes, and also this controller which I use or to compose or to control Ableton can also be used to send some punch-in effect or different things. Here I have some loopers on each of my tracks, and I can send some looper of or automatic volume things. So two kind of effect. I can give a little demonstration of this also. So for the quick explanation, I have 8 columns here. Okay. And those 8 columns trigger some dummy clips into Ableton. Okay, and this concept of dummy clip have been also explained in one of the tutorials. So to be quick, each clip I will launch here will switch on behavior. Okay, so on one setup of 8 triggering of the same effect. Okay, I have one setup for kind of repeater for each track. So on the first here, I have bass, hi-hat or kick, hi-hat, snare, percussion, etc. And then on another setup, I have, it's a tremolo effect used in sync and very slow. Okay, and I do this with the thing called Autopan in Ableton. So let's demonstrate this first. So I have each of my track from left to right, and from bottom to up, it triggers the same effect more and more quick or speed in its rate. Okay. So with this setting, I can reloop shortly whatever happened into my stems. Okay, I can even reloop the whole stems of it. Okay, so it's not often used in every mixes, but when I see we could do things like that into Ableton, I thought that it can be useful when you want to mix some ambient dubs or minimalist dub, and that way you have a lot of space in your mix. And I think this is a kind of mix where we can trigger those kind of effects. So the first set of effects can be also launched on the vocal to make it obvious. Listen.
Black like night, dark like cave, black I am.
shadows cast by judgment's veil. A father's discontent set sail in the crucible of blood and strife, son, blood and strife, son, blood and strife, blood and 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 lost faults and endless pain. Dark hours with ours, with ours, with ours, with ours, with
Okay, so this was the first set of demi clips, and on the second set of demi clip, this is something, as I was saying a bit earlier, a tremolo effect from the autopan from Ableton, and I reset the phase to 0 degrees. Okay, and instead of making an autopan like this into the sound, it will bring the sound up and cut it. Okay, so you have to tune it into your computer, but you can get some things like this. For example, I will try to play it on the drum. Of course, on the bass also. In triplets. Let's try to auto volume the drums also in triplet. And back to normal. Okay, so here we are opening one gate. It is that at start in the dub, it was about getting the tracks and send some effect and have a live and direct arrangement via the volumes and the effects. And now with today's tool, we can use also all what can be possible into the digital world to add up several things that were not possible earlier. So this is for the complete explanation of today's setup for the MIDI. So from there, now I will talk, after drinking something, I will talk about the routing from the sound card into the analog desk and what is happening here. I will play another track. Okay. Okay, so second part, it will be shorter, but second part yet. This first part about the controller and the way I clone the analog environment with it, I find it was the shortest way to explain what I'm actually using, and that way it will give you those ideas. And most of all, the things that when you are in this world, you are choosing what you want. You are thinking about what kind of effect you want, and then you have set of controllers to have them under your hand. So this is really the high-rated advice. Okay, it takes more times than to run with already made machines. It takes a bit more time, but by the way, on the road, you're learning things. So now let's talk about the routing into the desk. So this one is a 24 channel desk, but of course, if we have smaller, 16 or 8, we get the same logic with less option, okay? So the tracks from coming from the DAW, from Ableton, the separated tracks, which are controlled by the MIDI controller, come here into my desk in the middle on 8 track. And on those 8 track, there will be or in mono, just on one track, or sometime I can set some stereo buses by panning 2 of my output channel, and then I will send whatever I want in those buses. Meaning, let's send a bit of music. If I send only the melody, for example, you can see that. Yes, let's stop that. You can see that the melodies come on this track, okay? If I send other melodies like those pads, I have them here on one fader, and it comes on this stereo fader, etc. So I take time to repeat this example to show you that, in fact, what is useful with the MIDI controller is, for example, having something stereo on one single fader to control its volume. And with the time, I found out that it's more efficient than bringing 2 faders and trying to not mess with the left and the right. It works well also, but if you want to do it in a more professional way with a total control on your mix, the use of a MIDI controller is quite great, okay? In the case of my mute bells, they come on these mono groups with the piano. Okay, so melodies on this stereo bus, 1 and 2. Then bells and skunk on this mono. Okay. Then I have the percussion on this channel. Then I have the snare. Normally, yes, snare or rim shot. Then all the cymbals, the kick, and the bass. Okay? So depending on my project, I will choose, or I will bring out each sounds into the desk. I choose those because when we mix dub, I don't say this is the technique. It's more where I'm now, okay, where I'm at now. And most of the time, when we mix dub, we remove pretty everything, and we keep only the drums and the bass. In the past, they would have mixed it with one fader with all drums and one fader for the bass. But now we can have more deeper control. So as there's not a lot of instrument in this case, I spread them depending on how I need to affect them during the mix. Okay? And this will lead us to the next step, the auxiliaries on this desk. What could I say else? Let's say the analog desk is like the subgroup desk. And the thing that is cool is, for example, having several tracks for the drums. Let me show you quickly. Okay. So the good thing, having several tracks for the drums, from who we will set a perfect balance. Let's say this is a perfect balance. Okay. And when I push one fader, it brings me the signal on the separated track here. Okay. And why I did this? Because even if I processed my drums with some reverb from the controllers, sometimes I need this reverb, for example, for the percussion or the vocal. So I have my studio reverb here, and from here, when I push my drums, I can send some reverb strictly on my snare, for example. Let the snare come. Okay, or for example, we can sing about sending the delay only on the hi-hat. The right tempo, 126. Okay, so to have the control on groups here and to have still the control in separated tracks in the analog world, I think that's the best. I did this because I don't want to move too often all this. This is a pretty small desk, so with here I have total liberty even to go a bit harder on the faders. There's no problem. No signal goes through them. So now on that desk, here I will switch into the main output. Subgroup B is a phaser, subgroup 1 a filter, okay. And then I have my EQ here, and above the auxiliaries. So here it's a filter, a multi-FX, 1 echo, 2 echo, 1 reverb, second reverb. Okay. So each of these auxiliaries will go into outboard machine, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, etc. Okay, so this is to have the control and the access to everything available in the studio. Meaning, even if we have all the possibility, it's quite impossible to use all of them at the same time in the same mix. But to have several effect paths means that you can have a set of effects just tuned to have the good sounding of the mix, and another set of effects that can be used for the splash and the big echo and things like that. For example, if I wanted to have this drum, so let's work only here. On this desk, my first track here is a small reverb. So I cut everything and I will send each of the elements of the drums as I wish in it. I can also send some piano on this room verb. Okay. Okay, so in this example, this reverb, which is this one here, is set up, and I don't touch it on the whole mix because its role is to be the room verb for everyone to go inside it. And beside this, I add another reverb, and this second reverb on the second aux will help me to splash some of the drum hits. And this second reverb is set with different length and different EQ, surely. So yes, this is all what I mean when I say some effects will be there, set for a specific purpose, and the other will be used and played, okay? So what could I say else? Now the next step is that any signal you will send, you will calibrate it for the signal to arrive in each of your effects at a right volume. Generally, into the manual, they will explain if you have to hit it at 0 dB or -6 or whatever. But for example, on this desk, for the auxiliaries, in the middle, there's a little stop, and it is said a unity gain. Okay, so I set this desk for when my auxiliaries are at 12 o'clock, it is already the optimum sending of this effect, meaning at 12 o'clock is unity gain, it goes out of the desk, it goes into an effect at this level, and this effect come back into one of the other tracks here. Okay, the delay, for example, is here, and it comes back at unity gain also. You know, that's why for the reinjection of this delay, they reinject and auto oscillate when I'm at unity gain. Okay, so this is how you will process your effect, or sometimes you have the effect sounding but with a lot of noise or several other artifacts. So yes, take good care of feeding them well. Phasing need to be fed, echo also. And so yeah, so I have the musical tracks here. And need the bass. And on this side, I have the return of each effect: a filter, the delay, a multi-effect, a phaser. My mic is here. Yes. Let's set a slice of echo. Okay. And after that, the siren. So for a siren, whether you are into the computer or outside, or you get a dub siren or a small and cheap synthesizer, and you tune it to have some kind of sound like this. Really simple, a monophonic synthesizer, a square wave form, and the possibility to pitch it and to modulate it with the LFO. A simple thing. So yeah. So this is when I need some space effect. And on this side, same, there's all the effects which are controlled into the DAW, meaning the filter, the reverb, and the two echoes. They come back on a stereo bus here. Okay. And a few things, my reverbs, and a few other things here. So the explanation, that's pretty it, I think. This is one of the possibility. You can have an hybrid system. They will call it hybrid, but for me it's not hybrid. It's like a practical extension of everything. So whatever you don't have in real life, you build it into the computer, and what you have in real life, you use it and abuse it. So now a few mixing tips. We have seen some here, but I will talk about a few. In fact, the only thing we have to know how to count 1, 2, 3, 4, count the beat of the music, and make some choice, and have some ideas. And when you get the idea, you must know how to trigger it, because if we could go deep in some dub techniques, but quickly, you have several ways of bringing one sound in. For example, let's bring in the bass or whatever sound, meaning we can break it quick, we can mute it, we can bring it slow, we can play with it rhythmically. So we can do a lot of things. You will use more of this or that technique depending on what you are mixing. If you are mixing vocal, you will take care of keeping a right mix around the voice to keep it as a track. And if you want some more psychedelic dubwise, you will play more with the effect and try to make them come rhythmically and go back rhythmically. I will make a few demos on this instrumental called Vigilance, Anubis. I can't talk while I'm mixing, so it will be just you listening and try to follow what is happening here. Okay. Generally, when I come on this desk is to launch some other effects, but we will concentrate most of the time on this setup. And yes, you just got to get in mind that there's bass, drum, rhythm, lead, and all of them separated here, and the control of the effects are here, the 2 echo, the reverb, and the filter. So let's go for the dubwise. Good observation to you. Of course, we will have another episode with some more detailed or precise things. But it's all about making some music, so counting the time and to have some idea and execute them and make it a whole new universe from the same track. This is a bit the goal. So the next episode will talk more about cloning this whole environment on Ableton page. So it will be everything into Ableton, and also talking about techniques. Sometimes it's just more cool and easy to just do one day, and the next day we can detail if you want. Dubwise, Jideh, Shieldrum Records. Okay, and a last point I will talk about, I will develop in the next, but the very last thing or idea I could give is, for example, use whether it is in your DAW or outside um, your different effect. Meaning sometimes you can chain two effects and you will have something powerful. For example, the example I wanted to take here tonight is the delay. So on this channel, I have a delay, and on the path of this signal, I've set an insert. So this is, you see, something like that. And on the other end of this cable, I have a pitch effect, something that can pitch the signal. So what I did, I have this pitch effect inserted on the delay pass. So in the Ableton, it's more easy. You just have to put one after the other. And so what is happening, this delay is also set, as I set the dub delay into Ableton, meaning just one tap delay, and I re-inject the delay in itself. And here what will happen, it is that when I will send, for example, let's take the rhythm track, just the piano in a minute. When I will send it into the delay, the signal will go first into the delay, and then when the signal go out of it, it will go into the pitch effect, which is off screen, this side. Okay, so the pitch effect is off screen on this side, and I can switch it and choose at which amount I will pitch it. So for the moment, it is at 1 semitone up pitching. So I will send the piano in it, and then, yes, listen what is happening. Nothing is happening. Okay, so as the delay re-injects in itself with a pitch effect on its pass, each time it come to be re-injected, it come semitone upper, and this is why we have this kind of rising effect in the delay. If I slow it down, okay, yes, so there's creative ways to use several effects. And I know already this DAW, called Ableton, and many others, they got all this effect, meaning the pitch shifter and the delay and the reverbs and things like that. And some machine just combine the several effects for you to have a different effect. So yes, for example, this is always great to have a pitch effect in series on one of your delays. That way you can switch it on or off and have some kind of sound like this. In this case, I'm going down into the pitch with this one. Okay. And pitch effect, by the way, are pretty cool with the drums. it is set for a slow rise, but for example, if you set it to 1 octave above, you will have some pretty weird, very high pitch. Okay, so the progression of the effect will depend on the how many pitch above you will set, above or under. So yes, delay plus pitch is very great because you can have a quick delay, but which is going down into the tone and things like that. Pitch can be set also on post reverb or in the feedback loop of a reverb. And yes, this is where the ideas of mixing are bringing some ideas of patching the effect or routing it in your desk or controller to achieve the desired result. Okay, so I know we could get for if not every time, for always in it. And I hope you will find some good advices in it. And yes, let me check the chat before me go. Big up, Julien. Oui, voilà, Freck Echo. Good one, very good one. Very, very good one. A bit less control that having a delay with a pitch effect after it. It goes a bit crazy, but yeah, I love it also. Okay, yes, so see you on the next live tutorials. And when I will have time, I will try to do some shorter things, organize and arrange. But for the moment, whether it's for Shieldrum Records YouTube channel or the Patreon, this is how I can do it. That way I'm sure to do it and I don't have to waste time to arrange. And you know what, do le montage. All of the singing video when I will have time later, but for the moment, take it raw as it is. And yes, if you have any question or any request for the next talk about what is the mixing, put them in the comment. And thank you for sharing the video, because the live video are into another folders into YouTube and are not the most obvious to be seen. So if you share it, that's a good help. Give thanks.